Hi guys, and welcome back to the Sun Devil Learning Labs. This is Mrs. Lopez. I'll be teaching you guys today about the order of operations. And also, if you are new to Sun Devil Learning Labs, then welcome. And if you are returning, then welcome back. I'm glad to see you guys here. Let me start sharing my screen here so we can get started. Okay, so today we're going to learn about the order of operations. First on our agenda today, I want you to grab your materials. I want you to get a paper and pencil. So pause the video now so you can grab your utensils and whatever writing utensil you need or paper. Okay, welcome back, and I hope you have all your materials. And then we have a joke of the day today, and my joke today is, how can you make time fly? Give you a few moments to think about that. If you said throw a clock out the window, then you're right. And then we have our objective today, and it is I can solve expressions using order of operations. We're going to learn what order of operations means today, but I want you to repeat the objective after me so then we can get started. I can solve expressions using order of operations. Okay, so we have our vocabulary today. Our vocabulary, we have three main vocabulary words and then our operational signs as well. But the order of operations is a rule that says which calculation comes first in an expression. And an expression is a math phrase that is made up of numbers and operational signs. So that is like 5 plus 2, that is an expression. And the order of operations will tell us how to calculate an expression as they get bigger. So there's multiple times where an expression has all 4 of these operational signs. At that point, we use order of operations in which to calculate that expression. We have PEMDAS. This is an acronym that stands for parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction. And then along with that, we have all of our operational signs. We have our parentheses, our exponents, multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction. So let's make a sandwich today. So step 1, we're going to get our bread, we're going to get our meat, we're going to get our toppings, cheese, lettuce, tomato, and mayo. We're going to take our bread and put the mayo on top of it in step 2. Step 3, we're going to put our meat on top of the bread that has the mayo on it. Step 4, we're going to add our toppings. And then step 5, we're going to enjoy it. If I was to follow how to make this sandwich, every step that it has right here, my sandwich would end up like this. We have our mayo on top of our bread and our meat on top of the mayo that's on top of the bread, and then our toppings on top. That's not how you make a sandwich. This is, I don't know what you would call it. So let's try it again and let's make a sandwich again. But this time we're going to have a little bit extra in our steps and more steps. So we have step 1. Get your bread, your meat, your toppings, your cheese, lettuce, tomato, and mayo, and our utensils, a knife and a spoon. Then we have our step 2. We're going to take 2 slices of bread out of the bag and spread the mayo on top of each slice of bread with your utensil. I used a spoon to spread my mayo. Step 3, you're going to put your meat, however much meat you want, on your sandwich on top of the bread of 1 slice of bread that has mayo on it. Then you're going to take step 4, you're going to wash and cut your toppings as desired. So I like my tomatoes really thin, so I sliced it really thin, and then I washed my lettuce as well. After you wash and cut your toppings as desired, you're going to add your toppings to that one slice of bread that has meat on it, and then you're going to place the other slice of bread on top, and then you're going to enjoy. So you do have more steps, but these steps are important to make sure you have a correct sandwich. So your sandwich should end up something like this. And then I enjoyed mine with some orange juice on the side. So it's important to give the exact directions in the right order, not only when making a sandwich, but when choosing the order of operations when solving a problem. Just like with the sandwiches, if we go out of order or we don't give enough steps, we won't get the correct result. So this also plays into making sure you have the correct steps in order to solve an expression. So that comes in the order of operations. Order of operations is just the rule that says which calculation comes first in an expression. So the first step to accurately calculating an expression is P. That P stands for parentheses. So do everything that is inside of the parentheses first. Then after parentheses, we have our exponents. So we do everything inside the parentheses first, and then we're going to solve, and then we're going to move on to the exponents. Then after you solve for your exponents, you're going to move on to your multiply and divide, and you're going to do that from left to right. And then you're going to have your addition and subtraction from left to right. This is the order in which you are to solve an expression that has multiple operations in it. Parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction. This is called PEMDAS. And there are other ways to remember PEMDAS. We see it here as PEMDAS. This, if you want to say it as the acronym, you just say PEMDAS. Or there is another catchy phrase that helps you remember the order of operations. If you can't remember the acronym, you can't remember what the order of operations is, there's this. We have, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. This helps you remember the order of operations in which you are to calculate an expression. We have our parentheses first, that's the P. We have our exponents next, then that's the E. We have our multiplication and division, which stands for the M and the D. And then we have our addition and subtraction, which stands for the A and the S. This catchy phrase will help you remember your order of operations. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. So on your paper right now, I want you to write PEMDAS. And then I want you to write underneath that, you could write, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. And then I want you to write parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction. This is going to help you right now in our lesson to doing our expressions and calculating them and doing them in the right order. So take your time, pause the video right now, and write down this catchy phrase and the acronym and what it stands for to help you when we do our problems coming up. Pause the video for 5 minutes. Okay, so now that we have that written down, we're going to start off with a math problem. I'm going to do this first so you could see how it's done correctly, and then we're going to do it together, and then you're going to have a couple to do on your own. So here we have a math problem. 4 plus 5 times 6 minus 7. If I was to do this problem out and do 4 plus 5, I get 9. 9 times 6, I get 54 minus 7. But that's not the right way to solve this expression. We need to do the rules and the order of operations. So first, I'm going to remember, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. And so the P, I remember that stands for parentheses. So our step 1 is parentheses. But in this problem, we don't have any parentheses. So we're going to skip that step. So then we have please excuse. So we know that excuse, we know that the E stands for exponents. We don't see any exponents in this problem, so we're going to skip that step as well. So we have please excuse my dear, that's multiplication and division. I see multiplication, I can go to the next step. So step 3, multiplication, I only see multiplication, so I'm going to multiply the 5 times the 6. So that gives you 30. So then we have 4 plus 30 minus 7. So we know our next step after that, we have please excuse my dear, we need Aunt and Sally. So that means addition and subtraction. We're going to do that from the left to the right. So at first I do see addition, so I'm going to add 4 plus 30, that gives me 34. And then I'm going to subtract the 7, and that is going to give me 27. This is the correct way in order to make the order of operations and solve this problem correctly. So now we're going to do a problem together. This problem is going to be a little bit longer and have a little bit more steps in it, but you are going to solve it the same way. So we're going to do our please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. We know that P comes first, and P stands for parentheses. So I see parentheses in my problem, so we're going to solve it. So together we know that 3 plus 4 is 7. So we solved for the parentheses. Next, we're going to do step 2. Step 2 is please excuse. So we know that the E stands for exponents. Do we see any exponents in this problem? The answer should be no. So we're going to skip that step. Our next step, we have our parentheses and our exponents. We need my dear, which is multiplication and division. I only see multiplication in this problem. We see it twice though. We see 5 times 7 and 2 times 8. In our steps, we know that we're supposed to solve them from left to right. So we're going to solve the 5 times 7 first. That's going to give us 35. And then we're not done with the multiplication step because we still have more. So now we're going to multiply the 2 times 8, and that should give us 16. So now we should rewrite the problem and have it 35 minus 16. Each step that you guys are doing, you should also be rewriting the problem down so you know what step you're on and so you don't get lost. So right here, I rewrote the problem because we changed 3 plus 4 to 7. And then I rewrote the problem here because we did 5 times 7, that's 35. So we have 35 minus 2 times 8. And then we did the multiplication in this problem, and so I rewrote it, and I should now have 35 minus 16. When you're doing order of operations, these steps and the problem are going to be longer, so you need to write down each step that you do and rewrite each expression as you're doing those steps. So then we're done with step 3. We know step 4 is addition and subtraction. So we only see subtraction, so we're going to solve for the subtraction. So 35 minus 16 gives you 19. So pause the video now if you need to review this a little bit longer, because the next slide I'm going to have you do is you're going to try it on your own. So pause video for 5 minutes to review this slide. Okay, so we have a couple problems here, 6 to be exact. I want you to try these on your own. I'm going to only give you the answer, so parent or person you're doing your slides with, just pause the video, make sure that you are going through the steps in order to make sure you have the right answer. So here are our equations, and I want you to pause the video now in order to take your time and do each expression correctly. Okay, welcome back. So in this, we should have already have all of our answers done. You pause the video to take your time to try the problems out on your own. And so these are the answers you should have gotten. Okay, so our objective today was I can solve expressions using the order of operations. If you got these answers correctly, then you did your objective of today. You solved these expressions using the order in which to get the correct answer. So I'm proud of you guys. I'm glad that you were able to get these answers. If not, maybe go back and check your work and make sure you did the steps correctly. You should have written on the top of your paper your PEMDAS and your please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Make sure you're going through your steps correctly and in order to see if you solved the equation correctly. If you haven't solved it correctly, then I want you to go through your steps and make sure you've gotten your steps down. If not, maybe retry the problem and follow your PEMDAS as well. We do have an extra practice if you want to try some more practicing on your order of operations. We have Khan Academy and we have Math Games. So these are two websites you can play some games and do some extra practice, and those are going to be on your learning guide. Let me stop sharing my screen here. I hope you guys learned a lot about order of operations and it really helped you. Make sure that you're doing your order right. Make sure you remember, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. This is going to help you review your order of operations and make sure you're doing the expression correctly. Hope to see you guys next time, and I will see you guys in a couple videos.